Hey guys, Bubba here. With all the tensions going on in the Middle East, don't forget we've got Ramadan 22 with 8 days to go to begin on Saturday, April 2. Meanwhile, Israel is easing Ramadan security despite the recent uptick in terror. So what's going on with Ramadan? What is it? When does it begin? And what's it all about? Well, for starters, Ramadan is the 9th month in the Islamic calendar. The length of the month varies between 29 and 30 days depending on the sighting of the moon, and it's one of the 5 pillars of Islam. The word Ramadan comes from the word Ramad or Ramida, which means scorching heat or drought, which means abstinence from eating anything or drinking anything from basically sunrise until sunset. Fasting is an obligation as millions of Muslims around the world observe this fast from dawn till dusk during the whole month of Ramadan. It means to refrain from food, drink, sexual intercourse, and all that which breaks the fast, with the sole intention of obeying the commandments of Allah. Whoever denies this obligation of fasting during Ramadan does not remain a Muslim. The only ones exempted from this is those who are sick and travelers. They're exempted from fasting during Ramadan. So there's extra pressure put on everyone who's doing Ramadan, and the things that can invalidate one's fast are medication taken through the nose or the ears if you vomit intentionally, water that goes down your throat while you're gargling. In other words, if you're just gargling water and you drink some water, that invalidates your fast. Swallowing items. Number 6. This is the main one I want you to think about. Smoking a cigarette. You guys know as well as I do, for those who are smokers, if you haven't had a cigarette all day, what happens? You get very tense. And Israel's preparing for escalation in Jerusalem. In the territories, the fuel already exists, only a match is missing. So while one side of Israel is preparing for violence, Israel on the other side is easing Ramadan security. Gazans will be granted permits to visit their relatives incarcerated in Israeli prisons on terror charges. Palestinian residents will get widespread access to the Temple Mount. This is going to set up shop for all kinds of mayhem, guys. Shin Bet officials have warned that they expect a rise in violence during this month-long Muslim holiday. And despite this latest stabbing attacks by all these Arab assailants in Jerusalem in the recent weeks, the Israeli government is hoping that these security measures will help relieve tensions and reduce the potential for violent rioting and terror attacks. So why are they easing restrictions, issuing permits, allowing Palestinians from Gaza to visit their relatives who are incarcerated on terror charges in Israeli prisons? Are they literally waiting to set this thing up to kick this Middle East war off? They really want this Middle East war to get going, and they want the Iran-Israel attack scenario and everything else to unfold here very soon, I believe. Keep in mind, during Ramadan, over 100,000 travelers are going to be flying into Israel to celebrate Passover. So they're talking about restricting the access for Jews to the Temple Mount, fearing Arab violence. Muslim officials from the Waqf, which oversees the Flashpoint Temple Mount compound, however, have warned that Jewish visitors to the site during the holiday will be seen as a provocation, as some 100,000 Jews are expected to visit Jerusalem for other areas of Jerusalem during the 8-day-long Passover holiday. Security officials are worried that this may lead to an increase in Arab rioting. In a document sent to Israeli commanders on Tuesday, February 15th, the head of the military's West Bank division warned the combustible material already exists. It lacks only a match, and the match, he said, could be a targeted assassination of terrorists, riots throughout Jerusalem, and the Temple Mount, or, of course, the death of Palestinians who are fighting against the Israeli government. So instead of seeing the violence like the Sunni versus Shia conflict that goes on like you're going to see here in this cartoon animation clip, which is fairly graphic, they're going to take all this tension and turn on Israelis, I believe. Guys, they really want this war to kick off. Next, I want to talk about what's coming up between Israel and Iran. Guys, we'll talk to you soon. Isn't that the way it all works out all the time, where the elites come together at the very end? But guys, Iran and its proxies keep up their attacks. Israel's not going to stand by for much longer. The JCPOA nuclear talks deal, it's getting ready to get real. We'll talk soon.